Ladies and gentlemen, this is Denzel Washington, coming at you with a word from the heart, guided by God's truth. There's a moment in life when the noise fades, friends drift away, the phone stops ringing, and you're left alone. For some, that feels heavy. For others, it's uneasy. But let me share a truth that'll shift your perspective. Being alone ain't a curse, it's a blessing from God. It's not a flaw, it's a strength. Folks fear solitude cause they tie it to loneliness, but there's a difference. Loneliness is an emotion. Being alone is a sacred state. And in that state, there's a mighty power that can change your life if you lean into it with faith. I want to walk you through 5 truths about why being alone is a gift from God. There comes a time when you're sitting in the quiet, no notifications, no chatter, no distractions tugging at you. Just you and God's presence. In that stillness, you come face to face with yourself. For some, that's a comfort. For others, it's a challenge. Why? 'Cause solitude makes you meet the one person you can't run from, you. It peels back the world's noise, opinions, judgments, expectations, and leaves you with your own voice echoing in your soul. The question is, are you listening to what God's trying to tell you? See, most folks spend their lives dodging silence, avoiding stillness, running from solitude. They pack their days with talk, their nights with distractions, all to keep their thoughts at bay. But here's the truth, when you're alone, that's when you meet the most important person in your life, guided by God's light. Not your friends, not your family, you. And in that holy encounter, you start to understand who you are. Think about it. How can you know what you want if you're always drowned out by what others want for you? How can you hear God's call if you're caught up in the world's dreams for you? Solitude carves out a sacred space, a sanctuary where you can hear that still, small voice God's placed in you. Who am I? What's my purpose? Am I living for myself or for others' applause? Look at those who've changed the world, leaving a mark for his glory. Albert Einstein wasn't in a noisy room when the theory of relativity hit him. No, he was alone, lost in thought, letting his mind wander free under God's guidance. Steve Jobs, a visionary, took long walks by himself. Why? 'Cause he knew in quiet, God brings clarity. They didn't shy away from solitude, they chased it, knowing it wasn't about being isolated, it was about connecting with the truth God planted in him. Let's make it real for you. Think about those times in your life when you've had moments of divine clarity, when God's truth lit up your path. I bet those didn't happen at a loud party or in a packed room. They came when you were alone, maybe driven down an empty road, staring at the ceiling at night, or walking quietly in nature. That's the power of solitude. It creates space for God's truth to rise up. Sometimes that truth ain't easy, but it's what you need to grow. When you spend time alone, you see yourself through God's eyes without the world's filters. You notice your strengths, the resilience you didn't know you had, the gifts God gave you, the passions you've buried under doubts and delays. But solitude ain't just about seeing the good, it's about facing what needs fixing. You spot the habits holding you back, the fears steering your choices, the excuses you've leaned on. And that honesty, that's where God's healing begins. You can't change what you won't face, but with His grace you can grow. Let me be real. It ain't easy looking in the mirror and saying your flaws, your mistakes, your pain. That takes courage blessed by God. It's easier to distract yourself, point fingers, or keep moving so fast you don't have to think. But if you want to grow, if you want to become who God created you to be, you got to face yourself. And that journey starts in solitude with Him by your side. There's a story I heard about a man climbing a mountain. At the bottom, he was surrounded by folks cheering, talking, sharing stories. But as he went higher, the crowd thinned. Friends turned back, the path got narrow, and soon it was just him alone with God. Every step got tougher, every breath harder. But when he reached the top, standing in the silence, looking out over the world, it hit him. The climb was his, the struggle was his, and the victory that was his too by God's grace. Life's like that climb. People walk with you for a while, but the steps that shape you, the ones that define you, you'll take alone with God. Don't fear that, embrace it, cause those solitary steps show you what you're made of in His image. Some might say, I don't want to be alone. I need people. I need support. And yeah, community is a gift from God, we're built for it. But there's a difference between wanting folks around and needing them to define you. If you don't know who you are when you're alone, you'll lose yourself in the crowd, bending to fit what others expect, forgetting the strength God's given you. True power comes from knowing yourself, rooted in his truth. There's freedom in solitude, freedom from comparing yourself, from living for likes, follows, or applause. When you're alone, you stop asking, what do they think of me? And start asking, what does God think of me? You stop chasing the world's approval and start building self-respect, knowing your worth comes from him. You learn the world's praise is temporary, but your bond with yourself, blessed by God, lasts forever. Think about artists, writers, musicians. Their craft gets sharper in solitude, and they don't like people, but cause they know creativity needs space to think, feel, and explore without judgment, guided by God's inspiration. Your life's your masterpiece, but you can't create it if your canvas is cluttered with everybody else's strokes. Clear the space, sit in the quiet, hear God's heartbeat in you. That's where your work of art begins. And don't forget, solitude ain't just for tough times, it's a tool you can use daily. Take a walk without your phone. Sit in silence for 10 minutes praying. Journal what God puts on your heart. It don't need to be big, it just needs to be intentional. Small moments of solitude done with faith can change how you see yourself and how you walk in his world. So why do folks dodge solitude? Cause facing yourself means facing your fears, fear of not being enough, fear of lost time, fear you're on the wrong path. But ignoring those fears don't make them vanish. Facing them with God's strength, that's how you overcome. There's power in looking in the mirror and saying, this is me, flaws and all, strengths and all. And I accept myself not cause I'm perfect, but cause I'm growing in his grace. That kind of self-knowing ain't given, it's earned in the quiet, in the stillness with God. So let me ask you, when was the last time you sat alone, no distractions, and really listened to yourself, not just surface thoughts, but the deep ones God's stirring in you? The ones you push aside when life's hectic. The ones holding the keys to your purpose, your joy, your peace in him. Solitude ain't about being lonely, it's about being present with yourself, for yourself in God's love. It's about finding the courage to explore the parts of you that need his healing and care. And when you do, when you meet yourself in those quiet moments with God, you'll find a strength you didn't know you had, a strength from knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what you're capable of in his name. And that's a strength nobody can take away. Something powerful happens when you're alone. Not just physically, but mentally, free from the noise, the distractions, the endless stream of information pulling you every which way. Ever wonder why your best ideas hit you out to nowhere in the shower, driven a quiet road, or walking alone? It ain't by chance. God sparks creativity in solitude. When the world hushes, when the noise fades, your mind gets room to breathe in his inspiration. That's when your imagination wakes up, when answers show up, when ideas you didn't know you had start to shine. This world's louder than ever, notifications pinging, conversations all around, media demand in your eyes 24/7. No wonder creativity feels stuck sometimes. It's hard for God's inspiration to break through that chaos. But when you step away, when you make space for yourself with him, it's like clearing a cluttered room. Suddenly there's room to think, to dream, to explore thoughts God's been waiting to show you. Creativity don't thrive in mess, it blooms in his calm. Take J.K. Rowling. She wasn't in a meeting or scrolling her phone when Harry Potter came to her. She was on a delayed train, sit alone with nothing but her thoughts and God's nudge. In that quiet, her imagination took off. She didn't brush the idea off, she leaned into it. And what started as a single thought on a still train ride became a world that touched millions. That's solitude's power. It lets your mind wander where God leads, connecting dots you didn't see, opening doors that felt locked. You don't need to be a famous writer to feel that spark. You've had moments lying in bed before sleep, an idea popping up, or walking alone when a problem's answer clicks. That's cause solitude creates a space where God's creativity flows free. No pressure, no distractions, just pure, unfiltered thought, guided by his hand. The beauty of being alone is there's no judgment there, no one calling your idea crazy, no one cutting off your thoughts. It's just you diving into your mind, uncovering ideas buried under life's busyness. Sometimes the wildest ideas, the ones you'd never say out loud, are the best. In solitude, you don't hold back. You dream big, think bold, let your imagination run free with God's guidance. There was a man, Nikola Tesla, whose inventions changed the world. He'd spend hours, even days, alone with his thoughts. Folks called him strange, but he knew something deep. Silence ain't empty, it's full of God's answers. Tesla's ideas didn't come from crowded rooms, they came from quiet, from letting his mind dive deep with God's light. And it ain't just for big inventions. Solitude fuels everyday creativity. Maybe you're solving a work issue, fixing a relationship, or finding a new path. Alone time gives you God's clarity to see things fresh, like stepping back to see the whole picture, not just one stroke. We're in a world that thinks busy equals productive. Folks wear exhaustion like a trophy, endless meetings scrolling, noise filling every second. But creativity don't come from rushing, it comes from being present with God. You can't be present if your mind's pulled a dozen ways. That's why the greatest thinkers seek solitude on purpose. They know brilliance lives in the pause where God speaks. Picture a musician written a song. Teamwork's good, but the melody often starts alone with an instrument and God's inspiration. Imagine an artist facing a blank canvas, letting his spirit guide the brush. Think of an entrepreneur sketching a game-changing idea in silence. These sparks don't come from noise, they come when the world fades and it's just you, your thoughts, and God's possibilities. Solitude ain't always easy. It can feel strange at first. We're so used to constant noise that silence feels odd. Your mind might race random thoughts, old memories, worries. That's normal. But if you sit through it, push past or distract yourself, something holy happens. The clutter clears, your breath steadies, your thoughts align under God's peace, and creativity flows like a river finding its path. I heard about a young man struggling to come up with ideas at work. Always busy, always surrounded, always juggling. One day, fed up, he took a weekend alone, no phone, no laptop, just him and God's creation. At first, his mind was a storm of stress. But after a day walk in the woods, sitting by a still lake, something shifted. Ideas poured in, ideas he'd missed for months. He came back with solutions, fresh concepts, and a clear mind. That wasn't luck. It was God's gift of solitude. What's this mean for you? Making space for quiet ain't a treat, it's a must. It's giving yourself permission to step away from the chaos, to embrace God's stillness, to let your mind wander in His grace. 'Cause in that wandering, you might find something amazing, a new view. A bold idea spark from God that sets you on a path you never saw coming. It don't need to be fancy. Start simple. Walk without your phone. Sit quiet for 10 minutes praying. Journal what God brings up. Don't judge your thoughts, let Him flow. At first it might feel like nothing's happening, but give it time. Creativity don't always burst in loud. Sometimes it slips in soft, waiting for you to notice in His presence. And when that moment hits, when the idea lands, the answer clicks, the inspiration floods, you'll know it wasn't the noise that brought it. It was the silence, the solitude, the space you made for God to move. That's where brilliance is born, not in the chaos, not in the crowd, but in His calm. Here's a hard truth. Sometimes you gotta walk life's road alone. There won't always be a hand to hold, a friend to lean on, or a crowd cheering. There'll be times when it's just you facing life's battles with nobody but God by your side. And that ain't something to dread, it's something to embrace. 'Cause in those moments when the world quiets and the safety net's gone, you find something powerful. Your independence, rooted in His strength. Picture someone training for a marathon. Nobody can run those 26.2 miles for him. They wake up before dawn, lace up, hit the pavement alone. No applause, no crowd, just their steps echoing in the morning and God's voice saying, keep going. That grit, that discipline is built in those lonely runs when quitting's easy but faith wins. The finish line ain't just about race day, it's about those quiet mornings and hard miles when nobody watched and they pushed through with God. That's independence forged when you show up for yourself again and again with His help. Life don't always give you a support team. Sure, friends and family catch you sometimes, but what about when they don't? What about those dark nights when the phone's silent and the only one you got is the one in the mirror, with God's light shining on you? That's when you learn you don't need savin, you become your own hero. With His power, you solve your problems, face your hurdles, stand tall when the world tries to knock you down. Look at folks who rose from nothing. Oprah Winfrey faced poverty, abuse, rejection. Countless times she stood alone, with just herself and God to lean on. But she didn't break. She used those moments to build resilience, to trust His plan, to keep moving when doors slammed shut. The world sees her success, but not always those solitary battles that shaped her strength in God's grace. Solitude ain't just physical. It's standing strong emotionally, mentally, spiritually with God. It's making choices without needing everyone's okay. It's trusting your gut, even when others doubt, 'cause you know He's guiding you. When you build that independence, you stop waiting for someone to make things happen. You own your life. You see your happiness, your progress, your future, it's in your hands, held by God. Nobody's coming with a map, you draw it with his wisdom. There's a saying, go alone to go fast, go together to go far. There's truth there. But sometimes to go far, you got to learn to walk alone first with God. If you can't stand on your own, you'll always need someone to carry you. And life ain't built for that. People come and go, situations shift. What stays is you, your drive, your ability to stand through the storm with God's strength. Think of an entrepreneur starting from scratch. No promises, no safety net, nights working alone, days full of no's, moments when giving up feels easy. But those who push through, relying on their faith in God, not waiting for cheers, make it. Independence ain't just nice, it's the line between winning and losing. Steve Jobs said half of what makes entrepreneurs succeed is perseverance. Perseverance born in solitude, in the quiet hours when only you and God believe. Being alone makes you face yourself, your fears, doubts, weaknesses. That ain't always comfy, it can hurt deep. But growth don't come from easy. It comes from facing hard truths with God and moving forward. You learn the world don't owe you nothing. Nobody's got to save you, hand you dreams, or open doors. That's on you with his help. And that might feel heavy, but it's freeing. When you own that, you stop waiting for perfect timing. You make your own chances, you see you've had God's power all along. There's strength in knowing you can face the storm alone with God. There's pride in standing firm and saying, I did this, I built this, I overcame this with him. Nobody can steal that. That self-reliance builds a foundation that don't shake. Life will throw punches, but when you're rooted in God's independence, you don't fall apart. You stand tall, adjust, keep going. Look at athletes training for glory. Medals are just the surface. Underneath are hours alone in the gym, on the track, in the pool, pushing through pain, exhaustion, doubt with God's strength. No coach can lift those weights, no teammate can run those laps. Champions are made in those quiet moments. Same in life, your biggest wins come from the work you do when nobody's looking, with God watching. Sometimes folks will doubt you, your path, your choices, your dreams. If you lean too hard on others' support, those voices can throw you off. But with independence from God, doubts don't break you. You know who you are, you know what you can do. You face the silence, embrace solitude, and come out stronger with his peace. That confidence don't come from claps, it comes from resilience built in the quiet with God. And here's the thing, solitude makes you value connection. When you can stand alone with God, relationships are a choice, not a need. You don't hold on to folks out of fear, you connect cause you want to. There's a difference between wanting support and dependent on it. Independence means you're whole in God, and any help you get is a bonus, not a must. The road to independence ain't smooth. You'll hit doubt, loneliness, fear. But those moments are where God tests you. They show how much you can take, how far you can go, how strong you are in him. And when you make it through, when you hit that goal or climb that mountain, you'll see being alone wasn't a setback, it was God's setup for your strength. So next time you're alone, don't call it a curse. See it as God's invitation. A chance to prove you don't need carrying. You've got what it takes to walk, run, soar with him. Independence ain't given, it's built brick by brick, step by step, moment by moment in his grace. And when you reach that mountaintop, looking back at the climb, you'll know it wasn't luck or handouts. You got there cause you stood up, stood strong, and stood alone with God when it counted. Life tests us when we ain't ready. It throws curveballs out to nowhere. Folks you trusted walk away. Ground you thought was solid shifts under you. In those moments, it's easy to feel the world's against you, like you're sinking in uncertainty. But that's when God reveals something deep. Your greatest strength ain't found in easy times. It's shown when you're standing alone in the storm, battered by life's winds, and you choose to stand anyway with his power. Think of Nelson Mandela, minus 27 years in a prison cell, cut off, isolated. Picture the silence around him. Nights dragging on, walls closing in, injustice weighing heavy. Most would have cracked, bitterness, anger, despair talking over. But not him. He walked out not with hate, but with compassion, strength, resilience, forging God's fire. Solitude didn't break him. It shaped him into a beacon of endurance by God's grace. That's solitude's power. It strips away noise, distractions, things we lean on. It forces you to face your raw emotions with God, no hiding. When you're alone with your thoughts, fears, doubts, there's no running. That's where God's work starts. You learn to sit with pain, not flee it. You process anger, not let it eat you. You grow through struggle cause God pulls you through. Resilience ain't handed out. It ain't a present. It's earned hard on purpose in those quiet moments when giving up's tempting. But you press on with God. When grief weighs you down, when disappointment drops you, when betrayal cuts deep, those moments define you. Not by what hits you, but how you answer with God's strength. Do you let it shatter you or let Him build you stronger? Picture standing in a storm, rain pounding, wind screaming, chaos all around. You could curl up, hide, wait it out. Or you could plant your feet, lift your head, and face it with God. That's what solitude asks. It dares you to be your own anchor in His strength when all else shakes. To find peace in the mess, to steady yourself when fear creeps in. To know storms pass, even when they feel endless. Life ain't fair. It don't always give what you want. Folks let you down. Doors slam. Plans crumble. But your power's in how you respond with God's help. We often look outside for fixes, for someone to save us. But what if the answer's in you, placed by God? Solitude makes you dig deep, tap into strength you didn't know, showing you're capable not cause someone said so, but cause you proved it with Him. There's freedom in knowing you don't need the world's okay to keep going. When you face storms alone with God, when you've sat with sorrow and still rose, you carry a quiet confidence nobody can touch. It ain't loud, it's steady, unshakable, and knowing that whatever life throws, you'll handle it with God. You've faced worse. You've found His light in the dark. Solitude ain't easy. It's uncomfortable. It makes you slow down, reflect, feel what you'd rather bury. But that discomfort's where God grows you. You see patterns in your thoughts, how often you've dodged truth with distractions. But when you sit in His stillness, you peel back layers, you face fears holding you back. You challenge lies you've believed about not being enough, about failing, about unworthiness, and you take back your power in His truth. Think how iron's forged, blasted with heat, hammered, shaped till it's strong. That's what solitude does to your spirit in God's hands. It puts you through fire, but it molds you, strengthens you, refines you. Your scars ain't weakness, they're proof of survival, resilience earned through trials with God. And when you've built that resilience, you don't just make it through hard times, you shine because of them. Challenges turn into chances to test your strength in God. Setbacks become lessons, not walls. You stop fear and failure cause it's just a step, not the end. Every time you fall and rise with God, you prove you're capable, strong, resilient beyond measure. Life will keep testing you, that's a promise. But with every trial, every letdown, every solitary moment, you got a choice. Let it make you bitter, closed off, or let God shape you into someone wiser, stronger, kinder, someone who don't just survive the storm, but comes out with clearer purpose, stronger faith, deeper resilience. When Mandela walked out of that cell after 27 years, he didn't just find freedom. He stepped into a future built through years of solitary reflection. Resilience in the toughest times by God's grace. He showed us solitude ain't a cage, it's the fire where God forges our greatest strengths. So when life hits hard, and it will remember, your strength ain't measured by easy days. It's measured by how you stand when it's tough, how you face fear, pain, solitude, and rise anyway, with God's help. Life's loud, messy, full of voices, some lifting you, some doubting, some telling you who to be, what to do, how to live. It's easy to get lost, to wake up realizing you've been living for everyone but you. But when you step back, when you're alone with God, truly alone, something powerful happens. The noise fades, the pressure lifts, and you hear your own voice guided by His truth. There's a reason the biggest breakthroughs, the clearest moments, come in solitude. When you drop the expectations, the duties, the need for applause, what's left? You, your purpose, your values. What God says matters. Think about it. How often do we chase things because the world says they're big? The job with the title, the house with the view, the picture-perfect relationship. But do they fit who you are in God's eyes, or are they just props in a life that feels hollow? Picture climbing a mountain. At the base, you're surrounded friends, family, co-workers, strangers, all talking, sharing opinions. It's nice, comforting, but higher up, the path narrows, fewer folks can walk with you. The air thins, the climb gets rough. And soon you're alone, not cause you don't care about those people, but cause some steps are yours and God's alone. And when you hit the top, standing there looking out from a place most never reach, you see clear. The distractions are gone. And you see life for what it is through God's eyes. That's what solitude does. It cuts away the extra, the shallow, the things you thought mattered but don't. It makes you ask, what do I want? What matters to me? Not what my folks want. Not what the world expects. Not what looks good online. but what lines up with my soul and God's plan. And when you know that, when you lock in on his purpose, everything shifts. You stop chasing empty prizes. You stop needing claps. You stop living for cheers and start living for something deeper, rooted in him. Look at the world's game changers, visionaries, pioneers. They all had solitary moments, times they stepped away, shut out the noise, and listened to God's whisper. Steve Jobs didn't build Apple following the crowd. He thought, dreamed, questioned alone with God. Oprah didn't become Oprah doing what others wanted. She found her purpose, her path in God's quiet. Every leader, every history maker had to walk alone to find his clarity. But solitude ain't always easy. It can feel heavy, isolating. When you strip it all away, you face things you've dodged, doubts, weaknesses, fears. But that's the work. The process in God's hands. Growth don't come from comfort. Clarity don't come from chaos. You got to sit with yourself, ask the tough questions with God. And you'll see what truly matters. How many folks wake up dreading their life, jobs they hate, relationships that drain, routines with no joy? Why? They never sat alone with God, never asked, is this my life? They followed the world's script. But life ain't for autopilot. It's for living with intention, purpose, clarity in him. When you embrace solitude, you give yourself a gift from God. You get space to dream, plan, align your steps with your true calling. You stop choosing based on pressure and start choosing from passion. That changes everything. You pick work that fills your soul, not just your wallet. You surround yourself with folks who lift you, not just who's there. You make moves that light you up, that make you feel alive in God's plan. And once you know what matters, you're unstoppable in him. When you've got a purpose bigger than likes, money, or status, nothing shakes you. Opinions don't sway you. Trends don't pull you. You walk your path with confidence, knowing every step's taking you somewhere real, blessed by God. It's easy to get caught in the noise, living for likes, claps, recognition. But none of that matters if you ain't fulfilled, if you ain't peace in God. So take the time, step away, sit with yourself in him. Listen to his voice in you. In that silence, that stillness, you'll find the answers you've been searching for. And once you do, once you know what's true, you'll never waste another second living for less. There's a moment when the noise dies, the crowd scatters, and you're alone. That silence scares most folks. In that stillness, you face yourself, no distractions, no cheers, just you and God's truth. But don't run from it. Don't fill the quiet with chatter or pointless noise. Lean into it. Cause in that sacred space lies your greatest strength, your creativity, resilience, independence, clarity, self-awareness, all gifts from God. It's where you find who you are and what he made you for. Life tests you when you ain't looking. Friends you thought were forever leave. Chances you banked on slip away. You sit in silence, wondering if you've got what it takes to keep going. And in those raw, uneasy moments, you find something holy. You're stronger than you know, with God's power in you. You weren't made to lean on everyone else for strength. People walk with you for parts, but there'll be roads where it's just you and God. And that's where his magic happens. Look back, when did your best ideas hit? Your moments of insight, your sparks of brilliance. Not in the loud, not with everyone's opinions. It was in the quiet shower thoughts, late night walks, 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling. That solitude wasn't random. It was God giving you space to hear his voice, to tap into creativity drowned out by life's noise. Don't waste that gift. Embrace it. Use it. And let's talk resilience, cause life will knock you down. It'll throw punches you didn't see. You'll lose what you thought you needed. Folks will let you down. But your strength ain't in easy times. It's in standing through the storm alone with God. The people who inspire you didn't get strong dodging pain. They got strong facing it, sitting with discomfort, refusing to quit when no one cheered, with God lifting them. Resilience ain't given, it's earned in those quiet, lonely moments when you choose to rise after life's hit you hard, with his help. Solitude builds independence, real independence, the kind that don't need others' validation or rescue. Cause got you. Picture that marathon runner. Nobody runs those miles for him. They wait before dawn, hit the pavement alone. Every sweat drop, every ache, every mile's a testament to discipline and faith. Solitude teaches you you're capable, that you don't wait for salvation. You're your own hero in God. You solve your problems, make your moves. And when you cross your finish line, you'll know you earned it, not cause someone carried you, but cause you carried yourself with him. Then there's clarity only found when you cut through the noise. Social media tells you how to look, friends say what to do, the world defines success. But in God's stillness, you hear his voice, the one that knows what's true. It guides you to your purpose, your values, your dreams. It reminds you live for his intention, not the world's applause. And don't sleep on self-awareness. Solitude is a mirror showing not just your wins and strengths, but your flaws, fears, weaknesses. That's tough, but it's needed. You can't grow if you don't see what needs changing. You can't heal if you're dodging pain. Alone time lets you ask with God, who am I? What do I want? What's holding me back? What's my next step in his plan? Yeah, folks may leave. Yeah, you'll sit in silence, but know this, you came into this world alone. You'll leave it alone, and what you do between how you stand, how you live shows who you are in God. Applause fades, crowds scatter, but your bond with yourself, blessed by him, lasts forever. Make it strong. Make it one you're proud of. Your solitude's your sanctuary, your training ground, your strength source in God. Don't fear it. Cherish it. Cause in those quiet moments when it's just you and his truth, you see, you've had his power all along. You don't need others to complete you, validate you, say you're enough. You are enough in him. Always have been. The greatest thing you can do is find that strength not out there, but in you with God. Now here's where it gets real. Why all this is your moment to rise. You're standing at the edge of God's call, and he's telling you to step out in faith. This ain't just about you, it's about the purpose he's burned into your soul to shine his light. You ain't here by mistake, you're chosen, blessed, set apart for greatness in his name. Don't let fear, doubt, or nobody's words stop you. You've got a fire from God, and it's time to let it blaze. Get up right now and claim his promise. Chase your purpose with all your heart, knowing he's right there. This is your time, your breakthrough, your destiny. Grab it with God's strength flowing through you. Let's move. Thank you. And now I got a challenge straight from God's heart. Down below, share your story. What's the purpose he's put in you? What's one step you're taking today to walk in it? Let's build each other up, cause God's called us to be his family, lifting one another in his love. You're special, chosen by him, and your voice matters. Drop a comment, spark someone's fire, and let's create a community that shines for his glory. Amen.